Hello everyone, my name is Jose Pro MM Survival. So Russia has always been, or at least for a very long time, it has been a enemy of the United States. It has been the United States arch enemy. So in this special, what we're going to be talking about is how Russia is advanced in their military arsenal that actually rivals the United States and maybe in some areas might surpass the United States. So stick around so you can find out what that is.
When the only constant in life is change, you need to be ready. This is the Man-Made Survival Show.
Hello everyone, my name is Jose Pro MM Survival. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel and watching this video. So this video is the second part of the three-part series that we're doing about the arsenal that each superpower has throughout the world. So we're talking about China, Russia, and the United States. So the first video was China, and we cover everything that they have. On this video, we're going to cover Russia and everything they have. And third, we're going to cover the United States and everything that America has. So what I want to start off with is this video, all right? And this video shows why it's important not only for you to have the information that we're giving to you, but why you need to be a prepper. Here it is.
Oh gosh, what happened? Holy crap. Did something happen? Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. Did you guys get that? Oh my god. What do we do? Did you get that, Cheryl? What do we do? Babe, what do we do?
Do what?
Did you not get that?
What is it?
There's an emergency ballistic missile threat.
What?
Not a drill.
Oh, no way.
Yes. What do we do? Tell me.
Alright, so we're not making fun of her at all, right? That is a perfectly normal way to react. So the point is that you need to know how to react so you're not in that position of asking, what do I do? Where do we go? What's next? So on this one, we're going to focus on what they have, and then on the next set of videos, we're going to talk about more in depth on what you should do if something like this was to happen in your city. Alright, so the first headline that I have is Russia's top general warns World War III is coming in chilling prediction. This one's from Daily Star in the UK. Russia's top general has warned a big war is coming in a chilly prediction amid ongoing tensions with NATO. Valery Gerasimov, the chief Vladimir Putin's general staff, has said that he believes the West is preparing for a large-scale military conflict. NATO and Russia both have shipped tons of military hardware to their frontiers on Eastern Europe. Both regularly accuse the other of aggression over the buildup, and General Gerasimov warned this could accidentally spiral into conflict between Russia and NATO, which would be World War III. Putin's war boss said, "Work continues on the deployment of U.S. missiles defense components in Europe. In the ballistic countries in Poland, the Black and Baltic Seas, military activity is intensifying. The intensity of the bloc's military exercise is rising. Their scenario points to NATO's targeted preparation for engaging its force in a large-scale military conflict." Alright, so it's no secret that for a very, very long time, there has always been a possibility of us going to war against Russia. So that is the reason why Russia has created war plans, as well as we have created war plans in China and everybody else. Everybody included in NATO. What would happen and what to do. So the escalation has always been in Russia that us as a country, the United States, we're always putting defense systems and other systems all throughout the world, especially in Europe and the Middle East. But Russia sees that as a threat because every time we have a drill, we're so close to the border, they have the feeling of, they're afraid that one day that drill will become something real. That we're over here pretending to be, getting prepared for a drill, and then suddenly we march through the border. That's exactly what could happen, if we were ever to do that. And that's exactly what they're prepared for. Now, remember, when we talked about the plan that a defected Colonel Lunov came from Russia, he told the American people that one of the plans was to have fight with the United States, when they would have war, and how they would do it. All right, so of course Russia is always updating the systems. Now, for the first time in history, I would say they have finally gone past the United States. Here's the first headline that I have, or the next headline that I have. Putin says Russia is leading the world in hypersonic weapons. This is from apnews.com, and I have a video to show for that one. Here it is.
The animation is sobering. Russian missiles that could circumnavigate the planet. Nuclear-powered cruise missiles hugging the terrain that could fly effectively forever, with targets that could be anywhere, including, as the animation highlights, Central Florida. When that segment ended, Vladimir Putin's audience broke into applause.
It was certainly unfortunate to have watched the video animation that depicted a nuclear attack on the United States. We don't regard that as the behavior of a responsible international player.
The U.S. said today it was unsurprised by Putin's claims. If he's really developing such weaponry, it said he's violating international treaties. And though the Pentagon today dismissed any current threat to the U.S.,
we're prepared and we're ready.
The rhetoric and those images are all unsettlingly familiar.
Welcome to the new arms race, same as the old arms race. Here we go. This is no bluff. Putin says he's not bluffing, and he's right. He can do this. There aren't many things that Russia can do well. Build big missiles and with large nuclear weapons on them that can destroy our country. They've had a lot of practice.
In other words, even Putin's intent ought not be ignored, nor the danger of a tit-for-tat buildup in the U.S. Consider Donald Trump's State of the Union address just a few weeks ago.
We must modernize and rebuild our nuclear arsenal, hopefully never having to use it, but making it so strong and so powerful that it will deter any acts of aggression.
On Trump's aspirations,
Putin is answering that, and he's answering it convincingly.
Should we be freaked out?
We should be freaked out.
it's the threat of a buildup the world has seen before that risks growing and growing until both sides agree to stop. Unless they don't. Paul Hunter, CBC News.
That's the reason why having this information is important, because you need to know how all these things work and what they have. So the article goes on to say, the Pentagon and the U.S. military services have been working on the development of hypersonic weapons in recent years, and Defense Secretary Mark Esper said in August that he believes it's probably a matter of a couple of years before the U.S. has one. He has called it a priority as the military works to develop new long-range fire capabilities. The U.S. also has repeatedly warned Congress about hypersonic missiles being developed by Russia and China that will be harder to track and defeat. All right, so of course, for us to maintain, top-notch firepower, we have to keep developing it. And there was a brief, span of time where we didn't do anything with it, and actually, most of our military equipment actually was downgraded, and now, they're trying to catch back up, and now it creates this problem that Russia, for the first time, has in one aspect surpassed the United States. Here's my next headline. Russia unveils new unstoppable 7,000 mile per hour hypersonic Zircon missile. This from Daily Star. And I also have a video for it. Here it is.
Планирующим крылатым блоком.
In front of a massive video screen, Putin revealed several weapon systems. Among them, illustrations of a new ICBM, a new cruise missile, and a nuclear torpedo that can cross oceans. The point of all of them, to dodge detection, evade missile defenses. And even if it was watched closely by defense experts the world over, and it surely was, the first audience was domestic. As Chris Brown tells us from Moscow, this is an election year.
Do
hear Vladimir Putin tell it, the cruise missile carried by this rocket is basically unstoppable. Flying at 20 times the speed of sound, it can zig and zag and deliver a nuclear warhead to any target in the world. It goes like a meteorite to its target, boasted Putin, like a fireball. Then, in reference to the United States pulling out of the anti-ballistic missile treaty, Putin added ominously, "They kept ignoring us, so listen to us now." It was a provocative Cold War-style threat, and the audience of lawmakers and business leaders loved it. They'd gathered for the annual State of the Nation address, but with the presidential election in just a few weeks, it was also a chance for Russians to hear what they could expect from 6 more years of Putin. And the answer was clearly a bigger, more aggressive military. I hope all the things I have said today will sober up any potential aggressor, including expanding NATO or moving it closer to our borders. It is a certainty Putin will be re-elected, but low voter turnout could taint his win. Evoking the image of Russia as a superpower again may rouse people to come out. And for some Moscow commuters we talked to, the saber rattling worked. I really like the military part, said Yelena Varanya. We've had it up to here. They've surrounded us on all sides. But others say they don't buy it. I don't understand the logic, said Konstantin Malikov. We have nothing in this country, but our military is great. Why do we need this? Putin did promise to cut poverty rates in half and to spend more on health care, but there were few specifics. Rather, the main point today was to yet again stoke fears that Russia's enemies are closer and more dangerous than ever, and most Russians seem ready to continue believing that. Chris Brown, CBC News, Moscow.
So here's the bottom line, coming directly from the USA. Undersecretary for Defense and Engineering Michael D. Griffin has expressed grave concern about the new missile gap opening between America and Russia. He said, "We today do not have the systems which can hold them, Russia and China, at risk in a corresponding matter, and we do not have the defenses against those systems. Should they choose to employ them, we would be at a disadvantage today. We're playing catch-up ball." So, they're warning. They're saying we have to hurry up and develop these systems and be above them so they cannot overtake the United States, at least in firepower. Because one of the things that the United States has is that we have an extremely good military. But if that military was ever overpowered, then we're good as gone. So that's why it's important to keep this going. And will there ever be a day where they cannot keep going because of an economic collapse or because problems here in the United States? It could be a possibility. We'll see how that goes. But until then, you still have the opportunity to get prepared for the eventuality of nuclear war against Russia and China. So let's say nuclear war does not happen for another 10 years. You've had 10 years to get prepared since you heard this today. So you need to start doing that today. So here's the next headline that I have. Russia floats out first nuclear sub that will carry Poseidon strategic underwater drones. The submarine will undertake Shipbuilder C and state trials in 2020. That's from TASS.com. The Project 09852 special purpose nuclear power submarine Belgorod that will be the first carrier of Poseidon strategic underwater drones was floated out in the Simash shipyard in North Russia on Tuesday, TASS reports from the scene. The underwater drone, later named Poseidon, was unveiled by Russian President Vladimir Putin in his State of the Union address to the Federal Assembly on March 1st, 2018. The Russian leader said that Russia had already developed drones capable of moving at very large depths and to an intercontinental distance at a speed multiply exceeding the speed of submarines. The most advanced torpedo of all types of surface ships. As the Russian president said, these drones can be armed with conventional or nuclear munitions, which will allow them to strike a broad range of targets. The Poseidon drone will feature an unlimited operation range and an optional depth of 1 kilometer. It is believed that it can create a 1,600-foot wave, killing millions and making coastline radioactive. Payload is anywhere between 2 and 100 megatons. So just think about that, right? They have a weapon that will create a mega tsunami, pretty much. And not only that, once the water reaches shore, it will be radioactive because it has, a nuclear payload. So just think about that. That's another way that they have. That's another way that they can deter the United States from doing anything in Europe, if they have something like that. So the next clip we're gonna show you is from a movie called Hyundai from 2009, and it shows a tsunami scene. Here it is. Just a wave that big, that's 1,640 feet tall. It's about the same height as the Empire State Building in New York, and that big, and going that fast, it would go inland about 30 miles, probably more. They're still running the projections from that. So that is a weapon, a real weapon that Russia possesses right now. All right. So the next thing that I have is Russians smart ICBM to get next generation hypersonic warheads. This from TASS.com. So pretty much the ICBMs would be on hypersonic vehicles. So it wouldn't just be a missile; it would be the whole ICBM, And the Satan II missile is estimated to possess enough power to destroy an area the size of Texas or France. Just the one ICBM can destroy the size of Texas. So if we were to get penetrated in our defenses by one of these Satan II, and hit the entire state of Texas, all of it would be gone off the map, as big as Texas is. Just think about that. All right. The next thing we have is the Su-57 fifth generation fighter jet. And it pretty much, it's fifth generation, and it goes the same way, or it tries to catch up to the F-22 that the United States possesses. The S-57, that one cost about $34.4 million. The F-22 Raptor cost $146 million. So there's a big difference in price. So I don't know if it's just cheaper to make now than the F-22, or if you buy cheaper then you pay the price. I don't know. But the point is that there's a big difference in price, and they could have a lot more in their arsenal than we probably could. All right, so the next thing I want to move on to is the electromagnetic pulse, because it's something that is very, very dangerous here in the United States that could happen. And I have a video for that as well. Here it is.
Newt Gingrich. Asked during the debate to name the security threats that worry him, Newt Gingrich lays out 3 scenarios: a weapon of mass destruction in an American city, a cyber attack, and something many have never heard of.
Electromagnetic pulse attack, which would literally destroy the country's capacity to function.
An electromagnetic pulse attack, or EMP. It's been the stuff of fiction on the Fox show 24.
It's an EMP!
But it's also a real threat, experts say, and it likely wouldn't look like that. An EMP attack, they say, is an intense burst of electromagnetic radiation. It can be triggered by detonating a nuclear weapon at high altitude, a weapon that could be launched by a rogue nation or a terrorist group with access to it. Detonated low to the ground, atomic weapons have a devastating physical shock. But detonated miles up in the atmosphere, experts say, the main impact is electrical, energy that doesn't kill people but spreads like lightning, striking any electrical grid or circuitry, feeding into them, burning them out. Whole cities could go dark. Security analyst James Carafano has written about EMP attacks.
In one single event, what could be disabled?
If you had a large-scale EMP event in the United States, everything would be disabled, because even things that weren't knocked out, let's say your car, which might be okay, but the electrical grid's going to be gone. There's going to be no way to do traffic lights. There's going to be no way to land ships. There's no way to get fuel to the gas stations to refuel your car. And if you got them there, the gas pumps wouldn't work.
Think of this fictional attack in the movie Ocean's 11. We demonstrated electromagnetic interference on a much smaller, less threatening scale at the University of Maryland, showing how magnetic fields from some electronic devices often interfere with other devices.
You hear this ringing behind me? We're showing you what electromagnetic interference is. Say this television is a car. The car's function is rolling along normally. Here's a cell phone ringing. When it gets close to that, you can see how the audio of the television signal changes. You can hear the interference. That's essentially, it's interfering with the car's function.
But with a large-scale EMP attack, experts say, computers would fail, telecommunications cut off, bank accounts inaccessible. They say that's because the transformers that power many electrical grids take a long time to manufacture and transport, and with transportation knocked out by the attack, that prolongs the isolation. Brian Todd, CNN, Washington.
All right, so an EMP is extremely devastating for this society because we depend so much on electricity. All right, so here's the headline that I have for that. U.S. military warns electromagnetic pulse weapon in Iran, Russia, and North Korea could melt down nuclear power plants, shut down the electricity grid for 18 months, and wipe out millions of Americans. This from Daily Mail. An Air Force report revealed the U.S. is utterly unprepared for an electromagnetic pulse weapon attack. Iran, North Korea, Russia, and U.S. all have developed EMP weapons that fire invisible microwaves and electromagnetic pulse that shut down electricity. The report warns that an attack could shut down the electricity grid for 18 months, would melt the nuclear power plants, and displace 4.1 million people. It would also kill 90% of the East Coast within a year. No electricity would affect transportation, food distribution, and healthcare. All right, so just think about that. 18 months. That's why you need to have at least 6 months to a year for the food. Ideally 2 years plus, because in a scenario like this, there's gonna be a lot of chaos. There will be no supply chain. That's why you need 2 years or more. That also includes water and a way to defend all of that. All right, so the other problem that this headline, or this article addresses, is nuclear power plants melting down. That means that entire area would be like Fukushima. It would be completely destroyed and nobody could live there. All right, so now we're gonna move on to Russia's defenses. The S-400 Triumph, previously known as the S-300 Mu-3, is an anti-aircraft weapon system developed in the 1990s by Russia's Almaz Central Design Bureau as an upgrade of the S-300 family. It has been in service with the Russian Armed Forces since 2007. That is the system that is being used right now. And that system, it's one of the systems that the United States is very uncomfortable with, because other nations, for example Turkey, that have had those systems in place, or China as well, they have always threatened that there would be a sanction placed under them or on top of them if they went ahead and they assembled the S-400, or if they deploy the S-400, because the United States really don't like that system. Now, there's another one that is already coming out, and it's rumored that it makes the F-35 and the F-22 obsolete. So I'm going to show a video of that S-500, and here it is.
Russia's S-500 missile defense system will consist of a long-range radar that tracks the target, a command vehicle that identifies the target and coordinates the missile launch, a launcher, and an engagement radar that helps guide the missile. The system fires 2 missiles per target. The defense system will have a detection range of up to 800 kilometers, an intercept range of up to 600 kilometers, and a maximum intercept altitude of up to 200 kilometers, according to globalsecurity.org. The S-500 can target intercontinental ballistic missiles, hypersonic cruise missiles, and aircraft. The defense system will be capable of intercepting aircraft or missiles directly with 2 missiles, the 77N6N and 77N6N1, according to Army recognition. These missiles will reportedly be able to hit targets flying at speeds of up to 7 kilometers per second.
All right, so let's say that one day, in the future, there was a successful invasion of the United States, kind of like a Red Dawn scenario. If you ever seen that movie. If they were to set up one of those systems in the United States, it would be very, very difficult for our fighter jets to be able to defend us and be able to take down those systems. It would be possible, of course it would be, right? But it would be very, very difficult. Now, the next thing I want to move on to is, what is Russia doing to prepare their citizens? Right? That is the same question I asked about China. What are they doing to prepare their citizens? China, it wasn't very much. Russia, however, they're doing a pretty good job, or they did, and I have a video for that. But first, let me read you the headline. Russia launches massive nuclear war training exercise with 40 million people. That one is from The Independent. All right, just think about that, 40 million people. Here's that video.
This footage, broadcast by Russian state TV and other channels in early October, shows Russians taking part in 4-day-long emergency and civil defense drills across the country. Some 40 million people ultimately participated in what was the biggest test run of its kind since the fall of the USSR.
А вот куда бежать в случае бомбежки, половина не знает.
The drills were designed to train people how to survive in the event of a nuclear attack or other disasters. The Emergencies Ministry said it was preparing bomb shelters throughout Moscow that would accommodate the entire population of the capital. Videos of emergency workers in gas masks and preparatory tests for bomb shelters were prominently aired, and commentators on state TV could be heard making anti-American statements.
России надоело высокомерное американское вранье. уже известного достаточно, чтобы почувствовать новую атмосферу ожесточенности, которой...
Observers say the Kremlin's underlying goal of this kind of saber rattling is to reinforce Russia's stature as a nuclear superpower on par with the U.S. and to distract from an economic recession.
All right, so at least Russia is doing something to prepare their citizens. And as far as I remember, the United States has not done any sort of drills that prepares the citizens, at least not in any recent history. All right, so they're telling their people to stockpile water, food, and all those things. Pretty much everything that we're telling you here. So if they're taking it serious, how much more serious should you take it? This is what you should learn to prepare for those kind of scenarios, because they believe it's such a real threat that they have to take 40 million people into some sort of drill. 40 million people is a lot of people to manage that. All right, so just to recap, all right, right now they're leading in hypersonic missiles. They have hypersonic ICBM missiles, you know, the nuclear warheads. Our defenses cannot, at least at this moment, they cannot defend against something like that. They have a freaking mega tsunami maker that would be a radioactive wave that would just devastate our coast. And they have come out and say that they will attack our coast, right? And an EMP would be the first thing that they would do. When you invade a country, the first thing you want to take away is their way of communication and their power, because we will be disoriented and we won't have any information of what's going on. Because if let's say you live in Tennessee, if there's no power, there's no internet, there's no communication, you will not know that there was a nuclear attack in, let's say, Los Angeles or something like that, right? So you will be blind. That's why it's important for you to prepare for such a scenario. Now, this is the second video. The next video is going to be America and all the things that we have to defend against this. And not only that, we also have American people that would die defending this country, and I'm one of them. So again, my name is Jose Prado, and remember, always ready.
The Man-Made Survival Show.